Tell me what I'm doing.
Well, apparently you accuse all the Jesuits that go through your line of being clones, of using secret...
Oh, you know what? That is true. I have mentioned that I think that I'm dealing with clones. And what's wrong with that? Because you know why I say that? It's because I know that I'm being taped, and I want our law enforcement to get on it and arrest the clones. That's why I say that.
That's racial stereotyping. Not every Jesuit's a clone.
Racial stereotyping. Most Jesuit clones are evil. I mean, they need to be arrested. They're there to harm me. Their motive is to kill me. I need to make law enforcement and Vladimir Putin aware that they are in my line and they need to be arrested. Okay? And I think I have a perfect right to arrest someone whose motive is to kill me. I mean, don't you think so? If somebody was trying to kill you, wouldn't you think you would have the right to arrest them, Loree McBride?
Oh, so going through your line, going to the register with what, a gallon of milk, a box of tampons, and they're trying to kill you, Gail? Really?
Let's just put it this way. That's a ruse. They're actually there fishing around, trying to harass me and to provoke me to say or do things that they can use to discredit me. And I have written a whole body of law that I call conspiracy law. And because you Jesuits are so clever, we do not judge people by their actions. We judge them by their motives. And we have mind-reading technology now where we can determine what the motive is for why a person does what they do. And with our mind-reading technology, we've determined that the motives for these Jesuit clones coming in my line is very bad. And that's the basis for the arrest. It's not because they're a clone. It's because we can read their motives. And once we determine their motives are bad, we arrest them. That is not stereotyping. That's based on evidence.
Now, Gail, can I interject here? Now, I don't understand the concept of how this mind scanning technology works, but how is it calibrated exactly? Because from what I understand, I've always heard that it's always found that the Jesuits are thinking naughty thoughts. They're thinking things that aren't nice. Now, and I believe that that's probably the case, but how is this calibrated for truth versus false in Jesuits, especially in clones?
It's really tricky. What we do is we set up mind-reading technology and also emotion-reading technology. I think they both work together. And Vladimir Putin and I have come up with a way to tell if somebody has a terrorist mindset or if they're dangerous or if they're a Jesuit by the way they think and approach me, and we can. It's like a red flag with our scanning equipment. We can tell if we're dealing with a Jesuit. We've developed like a profile of the Jesuits, but they have a certain mindset, and we can tell if we're dealing with them. And if that's the case, then and they're scanned that way with our mind-reading scanner. They're arrested.
So I just got to be clear. So there is some profiling involved.
Probably is some profiling because the Jesuits, have a certain mindset about them. And yeah, there probably is a little bit of profiling involved. But to be honest with you, I'm not totally up. You might want to ask Vladimir Putin. Yeah, he probably knows more about it than I do.
So what you're saying is that because you know that all Jesuits are evil, you go ahead and calibrate the machinery to say that all the Jesuits are evil.
Basically, that is a correct statement.
That's terrible.
No, it's not terrible. We have documented evidence that the Jesuit order was sponsored and financed the Nazi war machine and promoted the persecution and the death camps of the Jews. And you're going to try to tell me you guys are virtuous? Oh, please spare me.
Even if that is true, that means every single Jesuit is evil?
Yeah. And you were behind 9/11, too. You did that to stop Brent from being with me. You punished me for watching What About Bob because I was watching a comedy movie. And you even admitted on one of your Jesuit websites that you punished me for watching that movie. And you orchestrated 9/11 the next day. And you're going to tell me you guys are virtuous and you did 9/11? Please spare me.
Well, now we all know why you murdered 5 million babies just because they were born to Jesuit parents and automatically they're evil. We never killed any of your children. You guys, you've murdered so many people and replaced them with their clones, it's probably gone into the millions. You guys are the biggest murderers on the planet. You're very evil. But you do your murder so clever that nobody knows you did it because you replace an authentic person with their clone. You've probably done that to millions of people already. And you've gotten away with it. But God Almighty knows what you've done.
You're not fooling him. You're just very clever about your murder, that's all. You're the biggest killers on the planet. Nobody can beat you for murder. You deserve a Nobel Prize for murder.
A Nobel Prize.
Yeah, they deserve the Nobel Prize for murder. Nobody's a better killer than a Jesuit. And they do it so clever.
The Nobel fucking Prize. That's
hey, look what you guys just did at this trial. You killed 25,000 people, but a Nobel Prize for murder.
You can't even prove that, Gail. You just
who set the bomb off? And it's really interesting that no Jesuits died. Come on. How stupid do you think we are? It's obvious that you guys plan this thing in advance. In fact, you gloat on it on your website, saying that you successfully accomplished the killing of over 20,000 and that none of the Jesuits were there. And you're telling me you're not evil?
That's outright lies.
I have nothing further to say. It's obvious she's going around in circles and she's full of baloney. We probably need to move forward.
We need to move forward. It's time to go ahead and go forward there. So Gail, did you have any further evidence you wanted to add? I know that Loree wants to add some more evidence.
I can't think of anything. I mean, there's probably tons of stuff I could say, but I've said enough. They're guilty beyond any reasonable doubt.
Well, Loree McBride, I think we need to turn the page and go to the next part here. I understand that you're claiming that you have evidence that personally defames the name of Gail Schuler, and you're saying that you have proof of evidence of Gail Schuler's immoral activities.
Yes, Judge, before we're so rudely interrupted. First of all, the photos I wanted to bring to this trial were, it seems we have evidence of Eric Schuler setting fires around the trailer.
We've already dealt with this. I told you I'd swear under penalty of death that you did it. I was there when the fires were set, and he was helping me put them out with buckets, and he did not set those fires. And I could say that. I say that under penalty of death, and that's all I need to say on it. We're dropping. Let's go on to the next subject.
Well, Loree McBride is passing up. Loree, go ahead and
Here, baby.
Bailiff, go over there and pick up those pictures that she's waving around in the air again.
Make sure they're not fake.
They're not fake. They're real photos of Eric setting fire.
He has a clone.
How can he have a clone if he's your son?
Eric Schuler has a clone. I've dealt with the clone several times. They may be putting a picture up of his clone, Judge.
How do they clone your son if he's Jewish?
He's not. He doesn't have a Jewish genetic profile. He doesn't have a Jewish genetic profile. He has clones, Judge.
He has clones.
Yes, they may have got a picture of his clone up there. But the Eric that was with me in the trailer was not setting any fires. Now, I was so busy putting out the fires, I couldn't see what was happening outside my trailer, and maybe they had his clone out there.
See, this would explain things. Now, Loree, you one of the things that this piece of paper has here is a bunch of neighbors that are pointing at him. Did these neighbors come forward in any way?
They apparently went to David Schuler.
Well, this explains why David thought that my son did it. But, I'm telling you, Judge, he was with me, and he was putting out the fire. So I suspect that may have been his clone out there. And in other words, it was a very clever Jesuit trick to implicate my son in case they didn't succeed in burning my house down, which is what they wanted to do.
But you didn't see anyone. It was just you and Eric.
I was too busy putting out fires. Eric was handing. And tell me, where is my son when he's doing these fires? Was he outside the mobile home or in the mobile home?
He's outside. He's
he never. Judge, I was with him, and I'm under lie detection. He never went outside the mobile home when the fires were set. We were too busy going from door to door, putting them out. And that was probably a clone out there.
So did the fires start outside?
Yes, they would start them by, like, the kitchen door. Then they'd start them by the front door. And as soon as I would tell Eric, go get me some water, and I'd put out this fire. Then I'd run to the other door, and the fire was starting at the other door. And I was going from door to door, and I was in crutches at the time.
So what you're saying is the clone was running up ahead of you because you couldn't catch up to him.
I don't know who was doing it. I never caught them. Apparently, now we know. It might have been his clone.
Very interesting. So the fires were starting inside your trailer.
No. They They were set by the door, just outside the door, outside the trailer.
As you can see in these photos.
But Eric didn't do them because he never went outside. He was inside with me the whole time. We were too busy going door to door, putting them out.
So Eric isn't Jewish enough to be immune to the clone?
No. So he's not Jewish enough that they would refrain from making a clone of him. He has a clone. I've dealt with the clone, so I know it.
Can you name some examples of when you've dealt with this clone?
Well, like I got a phone call about 7 or 8 years ago, and this was when we were having hurricanes hit my area, and Eric was calling me up and asking me to go stay with his dad to stay away from these hurricanes because they were worried that I was going to be devastated. And he said his dad was willing to pay for the airplane tickets. And I said, no, I don't feel comfortable doing that because I was devoted to Brent Spiner. And if I went to be with my ex-husband, it just wouldn't look good. So, and then he treated me like I was this evil woman because I was not willing to do that. And I just felt like that was clone, like that was clone behavior because that's not like my real son to do that to me. He was actually moralizing me because I wasn't willing to leave the area and take advantage of the free airplane tickets to go be with my ex-husband. And that's just not like my son at all. He doesn't tell me what to do. He doesn't moralize me. So I suspected I was dealing with a clone then.
So was it possible that it might have been your real son and he was just genuinely concerned for your well-being?
It's possible, but let me tell you, in my experiences with my son, he usually very rarely tells me what to do. He doesn't moralize me. And the way he was behaving on the phone, I just really suspected I was dealing with the clone.
Well, that's definitely proof then. That's exactly what it is.
And that's not the only instance. I've had other instances where...
Can you give us other examples?
Mostly it was over the phone where he would call me, and that was the one that really stuck in my mind. But there are other instances, like I would start talking about, I've opened up to him a little bit about Brent Spiner and Vladimir Putin, and he would kind of act like I had mental problems, and I'd say this, which, as you know, that's what the Jesuits are trying to label me with, and I kind of got little signals that I might be dealing with the clone.
Very interesting. So he knows about Brent and Vladimir.
He knows more about Brent than he does Vladimir. I haven't really talked to him extensively about Vladimir. I've talked to him more about Brent. Because my real son was with me several times. Like one time when Brent Spiner came to my door when I lived in Seattle in December 1993, right before I got that letter from that Jesuit Paramount woman attorney that accused me of harassment. My son actually heard Brent come to my door and whisper my name. And then I went out to his window and saw him out there in a white truck, and he flashed his lights on and off. That was Brent Spiner. He just came by to say hello when I was in Seattle.